Hi, I'm Maysha with As Long as You're Breathing, and look who we have back, none other than Elizabeth Kipp, author, of course, of The Way Through Chronic Pain, and her resume just goes on and on and on and on. But what I want to say to you all first before we get started is, of course, if you're watching us on with Facebook, you need to enable your StreamYard settings so you can leave us messages here. We can see them and we can chat back and forth with you. But Elizabeth and I are both glad to have you because you know that, well, as long as you're breathing, we want everyone to be living in great big capital letters.
Until you stop. Make the edge God find you on your heart mountain top. As long as you're breathing, keep living. As long as you're breathing, keep living. As long as you're breathing.
I've been playing with some new software. So, all right, Elizabeth, tell everyone what else you do other than being a best-selling author many times over now. This is just your book alone, but you're in many books. So tell everyone all about yourself, and we're going to talk heart coherence today, and we're going to explain to people what that is and why it's important, and I'm really excited about this. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Elizabeth Kipp is in the house.
Oh, thanks so much, Maysha. Great to be here. I'm a chronic pain management specialist, trauma trained and yoga informed addiction recovery coach, ancestral clearing practitioner, and yoga and meditation teacher. Now that sounds like it's a lot of hats, but all those things are right under the wheelhouse of chronic pain management specialist. So
Right, right, yeah.
those
it
are
all
all
fits.
things that I bring to the game to help people hopefully clear their chronic pain, not just manage it. It's just like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. You have so many tools in your toolbox, and that's what you bring them for and amazingly so too. This book was like, I lived and breathed this book when I first got it. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. So absolutely. So, all right, Elizabeth. So since the topic is heart coherence, what is it and why is it important? What is heart coherence?
Well, I'll start. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here to talk about this. With it being February, we're doing lots of heart stuff. And I'd like to just begin by, paying homage to HeartMath, the HeartMath Institute, which really brought in all the science around this, that their mission is to help people bring the physical, mental, and emotional systems into balance alignment with their heart's intuitive guidance, their personal interactions, and with others. Right. So
Wow.
their mission, well, we'll get into that more, but they've done a lot of the work under the science part of this that I'll be speaking to. And I just wanted to kind of put that out there to heartmath.com, just heartmathinstitute.com, or .org, just look them up on Google. You'll find, yeah, they're amazing. So heart rate variability, what is it? So heart coherence is related to heart rate variability. We'll get into what coherence is in a minute.
Okay. All right.
The time between heartbeats varies. So the amount of time measured between heartbeat A and B and heartbeat B and C varies, right? And the pattern of that rhythm reflects the state of the nervous system. When we have incoherence, that pattern is more jagged and erratic, and it leads to frustration. It reflects the nervous system, and the mental expression of that is frustration, anxiety, worry, and irritation. When we have coherence, is a more regular heartbeat. The reflection of that in the mind is confidence, love, appreciation, and courage.
Wow.
So, what are the benefits of coherence? And I'll get into a little more of the science around that. What are the benefits of coherence? As we learn to spend more time with the heart in a coherent state, we learn how to shift into it and practice it so it becomes our baseline state. Then we get to think more clearly. We connect more with our intuition. We have better outcomes and a wide variety of health metrics like better blood pressure, hormone balance, and so forth. So it behooves us to pay attention. Now, I'm just going to talk about the science for a minute, and then we'll go into kind of how this relates to why it's important on a larger scale. It's important individually. It's important you and I, right? And we're interacting, and you and the viewer, we're interacting with the viewers, and also on a kind of a global level. Okay. So there's in the ancient teachings, there's this teaching that we're all connected. There is no separation. Right. And some people listening to this might say, well, that's just woo-woo. Give me an explanation of that, and I will in a minute.
Yeah, there is one. There's a few, but yes.
But heart math has broken it down, and it's pretty interesting. The scientists there, they've kind of broken it down. Great. So let's just kind of understand at the beginning that there is this field. We're in it, and there is no separation. We're all connected. So my state affects the field.
Yes.
And the field, in turn, can affect my state.
Yes.
Now, if I'm consciously leveraging the breath, and we'll go through a meditation. I'll take you through a heart coherence to teach you how to do heart coherence. Very real simple.
Okay, great.
If we go into a place where we're actually doing heart coherence, heart brain coherence meditation, that affects us and our ability to heal, and it affects the field.
Yes,
it's pretty cool. So how does that all work? And I'll take you through, but I want to give you some fundamentals before I take you through all that.
Sure.
In the heart, so we have the breath, right? Mm-hmm. And the breath is we work the diaphragm, right? The lungs in the diaphragm, the diaphragmatic muscle. There's a connection between an anatomical connection between the diaphragm and the heart. Right. There's also a connection between the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve, and the heart and the lungs.
Right.
So we get information coming up, afferent, information coming up from the diaphragm and the heart, from the lungs and the heart up into the brain. And we have information efferent coming down from the brain into the heart and the lung. And the gut, by the way, which is another thing. So there's 3 brains that we've kind of identified at this point.
Right.
The brain up in the head,
right?
The gut brain, and the heart brain.
And the heart brain.
And it turns out that the heart brain has the biggest magnetic field.
Yes, because that's our dimension of intuition. So yes, it does. Yeah.
So we want to kind of get to where and we do this in yoga too. We want to get to where the mind is following the heart leads. Yeah. And in yoga, we actually, when we do physical asana, and when we're taught as yogis, we're actually taught to bring the shoulders back, raise the heart, bring the chin in just a bit so the back of the neck is flat. The heart is raised. The heart is ahead of the head. The heart leads the head.
So the heart leads the head, exactly.
And that's an actual representation of the heart's leading. It's kind of cool. And then this work that we've done around heart coherence, it turns out the magnetic field in the heart is the largest of the three brains. So really significant finding,
Yes.
right? So, so then what happened was the HeartMath Institute started this Global Coherence Initiative, which is a science-based project to unite people in heart-focused care and intention to facilitate the shift in global consciousness from instability and discord to balance, cooperation, and enduring peace.
Yeah.
Their work is based on these understandings. One, human and animal health, cognitive functions, emotion, and behavior are affected by planetary, magnetic, and energetic fields. Example, Earth and Sun and Moon. They all have these fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Earth's magnetic fields are carriers of biologically relevant information that connect all living systems. So that's an understanding of we're all connected, right? There's that ancient teaching, we're all connected, coming into the science framework, which is,
right.
For me, is like, I geek out on science. So I was like, yes.
Yes, I know. Well, because it helps when you deal with people who are doubters or who don't see the direction we're talking and stuff. So when we have scientific data to back it up, that helps so much, because we know this really works. All of this really helps people. So the more scientific data we can bring in, I light up with it too. I'm like, yes, good. There's more data.
Well, we want to get grounded in something that we're familiar with, and HeartMath has kind of broken it down in a way that we can do that. So since there's a recognition that the Earth magnetic fields are carriers of biologically relevant information that connect all living systems, therefore we affect the global information field.
Yes.
This is both ways, right?
Right, both ways.
When we generate a more coherent field environment that can benefit others, we can help offset planetary discord. In our hearts, when we're coherent, our heart frequency is the same as Earth's frequency.
Wow.
Magnetic frequency resonance. So that's very interesting.
That's very interesting. That's something I'd not been told before. So yeah, I got to know more about that.
Yeah. Well, I you can go on YouTube and find out information, HeartMath on that. But yeah. I just the point of this conversation is to understand, why is it important? It's important because we're affecting each other. So when I'm just trying to give you an example, I had a very solid example in my own life where I changed my experience, and because I changed my experience, I feel like I did my part to change the field. So I got very upset with a certain political person and their positions a few years back, and I struggled with it. I was like, well, Elizabeth, what is it that you're so charged up about? Like, you got no control over that, and what is it you're so charged up about? And I was like, I don't know, but I took it into, I did my inner work, and I kind of said, oh, it's attached to this other thing. And I kind of cleared my own charge around. It really wasn't about this person and their political stance. It was my own, it was connected in and kind of it fired the whole network off of my brain that was connected to other ruptures in my life. Mm-hmm. So I worked on them. And then once I got that handled or healed, really, then I was able to sit into meditation and send compassion out to this person. Yes. So and we'll go through a little meditation in a minute. So just being able to sit instead of going,
instead of putting that energy out, right?
I'm putting out I'm putting out that energy, which is very different. And well, the point is, Heart Math Institute figured out that stuff actually has an effect.
Yeah.
Right. And the global initiative is to get a whole bunch of people, together that are doing this work, and then they're tracking it. There's an app on your phone. You know, you can go to global Heart Math, a global, what's it called?
Okay.
Global initiative. What's it called? The Global Coherence Initiative.
Okay.
You can get the app on the phone, and then you could be part of the study. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah, that sounds like something I need to do, because that just is amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
So, the point is that the science, or this is not just an old teaching, which I honor the ancient teachings. This is, I'm a yoga teacher, and the Yoga Sutras talk about this too. This is not new knowledge. This is pretty much every religion talks about this as well. So any religion that I've ever read about. So it's not new information. It's just science is just finally catching up to it.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, we took this information and we separated it out from us, and now we're bringing it back. So that's because a lot of people will be like, "What is this awakening stuff going on?" And I explained to them. I said, "It's not woo woo. It's we're becoming aware. We are waking up to things we already knew. So that's part of what awakening is about, is becoming conscious of things that we should have known, that we needed to know, that we didn't know. So we're becoming consciously aware of it. And so, that is always wonderful that we are integrating all of that back into taking care of ourselves, because then we understand how to do it truly holistically whenever we integrate all of that information back in.
Yeah. So I give an example of how that would operate, and we'll work on the breath in a minute.
Sure.
So pretty much everybody's heard, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God.
Yeah.
And where does the Word live? The Word lives on the breath.
On the breath.
So God is on the breath.
God is on the breath.
So
I love it.
All we have to do to find our connection back to God, consciousness, the coherent field, all of it, is to come back to a conscious breath.
Conscious breath.
People come to me and they say, I don't know what my purpose is, or what's my purpose? And my answer is, your purpose is to take a breath, is to breathe consciously.
Yeah.
Everything else will come from that.
And the way I tell people is, it's to plug into your vibrational frequency, which is the same thing. It's to be breathing consciously. So absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So that's an understanding of the importance of the breath.
Yeah.
And in the integrated and holistic health model, you can't separate mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
So what you do to one, you do to all. So, you put your attention on the breath, and then all kinds of wonderful things happen. And we're going to do an experience of that.
Okay, so great.
I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share a little bit of this with you, and then I'm going to take you through a meditation.
All right, great.
So this is a little passage from the Book of Joy, Lasting Happiness in a Changing World by the Dalai Lama. He says, a scientifically controlled study conducted by German researchers at the University of Kassel has shown that while the chest area of an average person emits only 20 photons of light per second, someone who meditates on their heart center and sends love and light to others emits an amazing 100,000 photons per second.
Wow.
That is 5,000 times more than the average human being. Numerous studies have also shown that when these photons are infused with a loving and healing intent, their frequency and vibration increase to the point where they can literally change matter, heal disease, and transform negative events.
Yes.
So you ask me, why is it important? The Dalai Lama nailed it.
I'll leave it to the Dalai Lama. Yeah, absolutely. Those are amazing numbers to give people, that if those numbers don't make somebody's eyes open up and get their attention, that's amazing.
So he says 10 minutes of meditating on compassion, on kindness for others, and you will see its effects all day. That's the way to maintain a calm and joyous mind.
Yes.
So I'm not going to take this for 10 minutes, but I'm going to take you through maybe a couple minute process of so that you get the steps down to a meditation of when it helps you to get into coherence. When you're in coherence, it helps lift others because of our connection into the magnetic and energetic field of Earth. Remember, a heart in coherence is at the same frequency as the Earth, so we're stable, right?
Right.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, so it's a 3-step process. And the first thing we're going to do is sit comfortably and bring the attention from the mind to the heart. Don't worry about whatever's happening with your thoughts. Notice that they're there and just bring your attention down into the heart. And then I want you to just gently take a nice big inhale and fill the belly as you inhale. And then on your exhale, I want you to use the abdominal muscles to push the air up and out on your exhale and take that energy from the mind down into the heart. And then we're going to go back up, inhale, and go down from the mind down into the heart. Take a nice big inhale, feel the heart expand, imagine the heart expanding. And take an exhale and imagine it contracting. And we'll just do that. I'm going to time this. We'll just do that for 1 minute. Inhale, the heart is expanding. Exhale, the heart is contracting. Try and keep the inhale and the exhale even in length and duration, but go at your own pace. Keeping your attention on the inhale and the exhale at the heart. Now, the next step, the third step here, is to bring in something you're grateful for. It can be absolutely anything. Maybe it's a sunny day. Maybe it's the meal that you had for breakfast. Maybe it's the lengthening light at this time of year, or the coming harvest if you're in the southern hemisphere. Whatever it is, just bring that gratitude right into the heart center and stay in the breath, keeping your attention on the gratitude right at the heart space. And you might notice as you continue breathing at your own pace, keeping your attention on the heart center, that you feel a sense of expansion as you bring in this gratitude. We'll go for just another minute so you can get an experience of that. Keeping your attention on whatever you're grateful for and noticing how that feels as you breathe that into the heart field. And take a nice big inhale and exhale. And when you're ready, allow the eyes to gently open. Ah,
Wow.
it's really simple.
It's very simple, but definitely feel the expansion. Definitely. I
Very
feel
powerful.
the energy. Yeah.
Yeah, very powerful. I
Very-
just really kind of astonished at what, when we take our attention and we focus it and we join it with the breath and an intention, it's, you know, that's
Yes.
powerful manifestation right there. And we affect the field. We not only affect our own healing, but we're affecting the field.
Right. We're affecting others. We're
That's,
literally affecting others. We're raising the vibration for
that's right.
everyone.
Yeah,
So that is,
that's right.
yeah. So I'm not at all amazed that you're talking about breath because, of course, you say it begins with an inhale, we die with an exhale. I quote you all the time. You're everything I do, and as Elizabeth Kipp says, so I'm not at all surprised that that it's the breath that you're talking about that does this. But as a society, we've forgotten how to breathe. I mean, when we're born, we know how to breathe. You know, babies know how to breathe, but then as we get older, we become shallow breathers. We don't, we don't really, we don't breathe all the way down into our lungs. Even, we're just very shallow up here. We move all up here, and we don't breathe down. And so when we breathe down and we get in touch with the pelvic basin, the pelvic floor, when we come all the way down to the solar plexus and down to the root chakra, even, it makes such a difference. And that's just something that when you talk to people about, we don't breathe correctly, they're like, what do you mean? How do you breathe correctly? But it really does make a difference, being in touch with the breath.
Well, the breath, it's interesting. I agree 100%. And the breath, again, as the heart, because they're connected, reflects the state of the nervous system.
Yes.
And it also the mind reflects the state of the breath. So when I have, it's really interesting. So when I have, say I have a client, or maybe something happened in my world that kind of upset my apple cart. What happens there? The first thing is I do this, right?
Yes.
And what did I just do? I didn't just shorten my breath. I held my breath, right?
Held our breath.
And what does that do to the nervous system? It sends a signal to the vagus nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, right? It changes the heartbeat. It sends a signal to the 10th cranial nerve. Oh, Elizabeth's under threat, right? And so I'm in fight or flight or freeze, any of those shut down. I'm in one of those states, and all my attention is in the back primitive part of the brain. I've lost access to the executive functioning in the front. I can't think straight. All I can do is react, right?
Right.
So the breath is either shortened or held. So it's ragged. Heartbeat becomes ragged too. The whole nervous system's off kilter. Now, the whole nervous system's ready to run or shut down. And so it's in a hyper state. But the problem is, in this world, first of all, how do you get out of that? And second of all, a lot of us are in that state all the time. I used to be one of those people.
Me too. Me too.
Is off. It's just, it's just constantly going off.
Constant.
So, yeah. So you can't think straight like that. So how do we get out of that? We take a conscious breath. We're holding the breath, so we let the breath out. Nice long exhale. And then we take 5 or 6 nice long, slow inhales and exhales. The heartbeat becomes the breath becomes more regular. The heartbeat becomes more regular, the mind falls into place, and then you
Yes.
start having access to the, to the executive thinking, the frontal lobe, and then you're back in business, right?
Right.
So the state of our breath determines it has this effect on the heart, and it affects the rest of the nervous system, and it affects the mind. So, what happens to, and I'll tell you another thing that's kind of interesting. What happens to me is usually my most challenging part of the day is about 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I will often, because I wake up at 4:30 and get up and do my practice. But I notice that I tend to have my dark negative thoughts tend to hit at that hour. And I wondered for a long time, what is going on there? Because all I have to do is get up and get on my mat and do, you know, a few minutes of long deep breathing, and I'm good again. I'm like, what is going on there? Well, I've been shallow breathing all night.
Yes.
And so we have a buildup of CO2 in the base of the lung. Cells are not getting oxygenated. Mind is following, heart's following breath,
Yes.
mind's following the breath. And I'm like, I'm wondering why I'm not working on all pistons and in optimal, functioning. I have to raise myself up. So a couple things happen. We dehydrate. We lose 2 cups of water every night when we sleep at night. 2
Mm-hmm.
cups of water. So I rehydrate while I'm doing my breath work on the mat. I'm rehydrating, right?
Right. I live with mine with me all the time. Yeah. And it makes all the difference in the world in how you feel. Anyone that's dealing with chronic pain or trauma, or stay hydrated. That
Yeah.
makes all the difference.
With a little bit of, make sure that you've got a little salt, a little bit of Himalayan salt, electrolyte in there, so that because you need the voltage as well, not just the water. You need the
The
voltage.
voltage. Right.
So and this also helps the heart. Right. So it's all this one system. We have this beautiful system in the body, breath, heart, mind. They all connect with one another, and we all connect with everybody else. So what is heart coherence and why is it important? I just made my case.
You did. You did. Having taken care of so many people in the hospital who wore oxygen because their oxygen was low, fear. That is one of the ways that's one of the first things you learn to assess in a patient is if they're fearful. If you check their oxygen is down. Fear, and that would before I knew any of this stuff, when I was wet behind the ears in nursing school, that was one of the things that it just didn't really kick in to so many people. And I would go into a room and the patient would not be, the patient would be fearful, the patient would be anxious about things. But most of the people that I went to school with, they seemed to think they recognized it when it was fear, but they didn't recognize that fear is not necessarily full blown, that there are levels of fear. And so maybe they didn't need oxygen. Maybe you check their oxygen, they didn't need oxygen, but they did need to breathe. They just needed to breathe. And so that was one of the things that I figured out early on as a nurse was, okay, they don't need oxygen, but they still need to breathe. They need to just breathe. And so as I came into all of this, and of course, when you said it begins and ends with the breath, I'm like, yes, it does. And I was a convert then. I mean, it was like, yes, yes, yes. But, and I know many people know that, but you put all the other stuff together too. But yeah, it's such a fundamental thing. And the thing is, as a society, we're always looking for, what do I need to do for this? Who do I need to go see for it? How do I need to get this fixed? Who can help me? And our power was taken away when we didn't know that we heal ourselves. When that information was gone, and it starts with the breath. We control our breathing. It's an automatic function, but it's also one that we can control. So when we put our conscious awareness into that and consciously control it, we're taking our personal power back when we do that.
That's right. 100%. Yeah. So you can take the breath anywhere.
Anywhere.
And what I teach in my yoga classes, because conscious breathing is interesting. So I'm going to show you something.
Okay, cool.
So I'm going to do some breathing in one way, and then I'm going to do some breathing in another way. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll be conscious. Okay. So watch. That's one way. Now I'm going to do it another way. Now, those were both, equal inhale, exhales, but one of them, I brought a lot of what I would call force to.
Mm-hmm.
The first three. And the second one, I brought in ease. And that was a game changer for me because I've sat in front of a lot of yoga teachers and certainly in the Kundalini yoga practice, there's a breath for every movement and a movement for every breath, and the breath informs the movement. The movement follows the breath. That's the instruction. Is the breath so that's the engine. It's the lever. It's the thing that drives the movement. And so, being who I am, which is like this, chronic pain patient in recovery, I can push through with like nobody's business.
Absolutely. That's kind of how we got to where we got to. We were experts at pushing through.
Bring it, man. I'll do it.
Yeah, that's how we got there. We know how to push through.
So that's not what we're going for.
Right.
Because I can do any yoga pranayama breath practice with that attitude, and I can oxygenate my system and I can get that benefit. But you know what? I'm taking you into a refinement of all of that. Yes, you can oxygenate and detox your system by doing that powerful breath stuff. And I get it. And I do breath of fire. I mean, which is also, but there's like breath of fire, which is like this, or there's breath of fire, which is, so there's like a different.
Right. That's the one I'm familiar with, is the last one you were doing.
Yeah, a little bit, just a little bit, some
right.
ease. So right. The idea there is when you find ease in the breath, remember I said movement follows the breath, you find ease in the movement. And when you find ease in the movement, you find ease in life, right? So yes, we find ease in the breath, we find ease in life. So I include that piece of it because we can do a conscious breath, but what kind of consciousness are we bringing to it?
Absolutely. And as you pointed out earlier, it is February. We're talking about matters of the heart. So in relationships, if we remember this for nothing but relationships, and everything's relationship, when we're at work, when we're by ourselves, if we'll just think of it that way, everything's relationship. And if we'll just apply the breath to calm ourselves down to handle our relationships, again, with self, with work, with our pets, with our loved, with our significant other, whoever it is, if we will do that, our relationships will improve so much, and that raises the vibration of the planet too. That affects the collective too. So it's something we can do all the time to affect everything, because everything is relationship. And so we don't have to have, what's the next book to read? What's the next medication they have out there? What's the next therapy I can do? We can start with such simplistic, it's the breathing. Let's just breathe through it. And when we'll stop and breathe through things, it changes everything. Our perspective changes, the way we handle it changes. We go, as you said, from the forceful into the ease. We ease into it. That's how we hear a lot, grace and ease. Well, grace and ease comes from conscious breathing.
Beautiful. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say about that was that oh, now I've forgotten my train of thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You were talking about ease in the breath and relationship. Well, you can take it anywhere. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry.
There's another piece on the breath.
Okay.
But it's a big topic. There's a lot more to it than we really realize. And I'm just thinking. Now I remember. So when we're breathing consciously, it expands our capacity to be present.
Yes.
And there's information in the present moment.
In the present, yes.
It's the healing field. We can't heal in the past. We can't heal in the future. We can't really do anything except here.
Here, right
the
now.
Information that we need is right here.
Yes.
So the more we can grow our capacity to be present. For me, the richer the present moment, the field of information is. It's very interesting to me how that works.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's the more present I become, and there's kind of, for me, there's been like levels, like, oh, I just grew my capacity to be present, even more present, right?
Right.
And you'd have to have that experience to know what I'm talking about. I can't really explain that one. But what was interesting to me was, I'll give you an example. In meditation or any other time, I'm bored. I have people that come to me, oh, meditation is boring. And I say to them, okay, boredom is a door. And all you have to do to open the door, that boredom is like this block, right? Mm-hmm. All you have to do to open to put the key in the door of boredom and unlock it, is to sit with it and breathe. Oh, I'm bored, and it's okay, and I'm going to just stay here and breathe. And I'm telling you, man, you sit with that and allow it to be just what it is, and all of a sudden the present moment will open up to you, and you will see, holy cow, I never saw any of that before. It's
and
really,
it all comes from what you said. Breathe, so they've gone to the breath, and the breath does that for them. Yeah. Right. And so, yeah, I know breath work is basic. If we don't do anything else in the day, if we'll do breath work, if anytime we get in a situation that we feel the ease of life going away, just go back to the breath work. Go to the breath. Go to the breath. Yeah. I love what you said about as you learn to sit in the present, as you learn to experience the present, you become even more present and more aware. Mm-hmm. We become more connected to the conscious field that you're talking about, to the collective.
We become more aware of our connection. We're always connected, but
but we become more aware. Yeah. Yes, our awareness, because it is awareness. That's what it's about. And so, yes, the things that come when you do that, when you open yourself up that way, when you make yourself consciously aware, the things that come to you, you're like, the present moment then, because so many people, we've heard about mindfulness now for years, and those type of things, but the present moment matters so much. I mean, that is your life. The present moment is your life. We don't know what the next moment is. The present moment is our life. And so experiencing all of it that there is to experience, or as much as you're capable of experiencing in each moment, that's where the beauty of life comes from, being present and experiencing the moment. And I know when I was young, everyone was learning to multitask. I mean, that was the big thing, is multitask. And I became a pro at it. And I was talking about multitask, but it also helped wreck my health, because when you're multitasking, you're not in the moment. You're in so many moments at one time.
Moments. Yeah.
Yeah. You're in so many moments at one time. And the more you did it and the better you got at it, the more people were like, yeah, she can handle that. No, she can't. She can't even breathe, because you're in too many places to even breathe correctly.
Yeah. That's absolutely, you're not in the breath at all.
Yeah, it absolutely crashes your health. And So the more I took on, I was great at it until I wasn't great at anything anymore.
Well, I wasn't. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah, I was great at it until I wasn't anymore,
Yeah.
and it all really, and I know as a chronic pain patient, I would get so frustrated when people would say, well, you just need to breathe. And I'm like, I am breathing, because I was breathing, we're all
Yeah.
breathing. If
Yeah,
we're alive, we're breathing, but no one explained what that meant.
That's true. And they use the just word.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And that's
the
condescending.
Yeah. And that's like, now you're going to shame me.
Now you're going to shame me.
Now you're going to shame me.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I just, wow. Anyway, there's, I know there are some things that are not useful, right? There's some, I have a whole, we should do a show on that.
Okay.
I have a whole thing I did on how to talk to a chronic pain patient. We should do that.
That would be great. Yeah.
We should do that. Let's do that for April, because we've got a show for March already.
We do have, yeah.
Let's do that for April. How to talk to a chronic pain, for somebody in chronic pain. And that'd be an interesting conversation, because you've been there, and I'd love for you to add to my list.
Okay. I would love to do that too. I'd love to do that too.
Yeah.
So do we have more that you want to bring to us on heart coherence, or are we?
Not really. It's we kind of buttoned it up a while ago. It's pretty simple. Now there's a lot of science still that's being done, on people, and that's awesome. And I love that. There's over 450 papers or something as of 2019. So who knows how much there is now.
Right.
But I gave you the thumbnail of that work, and I encourage anybody who wants to take a deeper dive into this to get involved with HeartMath, the HeartMath Institute. They're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who's she's trained in HeartMath, and she's been very helpful to me. Very helpful. Okay, so what are we doing in March then?
Yeah. So in March. I thought it'd be fun for us or helpful. I don't know how fun, but important. For us to understand the challenge the mind brings to chronic pain.
Yes.
And there are lies that the mind makes up about our chronic pain experience.
Yes.
And I would just had a client this week who was really affected by some arthritis and bone spurs and so forth. And her pain really got like epically intense, and it wasn't so much the bone spurs and the arthritis as it was what the mind was talking to her about. And so I talked to her for, we had a 50-minute session, and I went through, and she's like, yeah, I was doing that. Well, I was doing that. And I was doing, and she went from and crying at the beginning to smiling and going, I feel so much better. Right. And that's not for me. I'm not saying, oh, how great Elizabeth is. That's not what I'm talking about.
I understand that. Yes.
I'm trying to explain that the mind left alone to its own devices,
gets us into trouble, doesn't it?
Especially a brain on chronic pain will take us into dangerous waters. And I would like to talk about that, because we've got a lot of mental health problems out there now. And I'd like to address that. And then we can talk about
what not to say to them,
how to speak to a chronic pain patient,
speak to them, right?
Freak them out, actually support them,
right? Yeah. what they will listen to and what they will act upon, it all depends on how you present it to them. And if you, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you just gave an example. Go ahead.
Thanks so much for letting me come on and
always
today.
Always. Yeah, well, you just gave like all sorts of examples why. Well, I'll just go ahead and talk about this next part, which I had not thought about doing. And you're like, well, we can talk about that. And so, I am going to talk about it. As long as you're breathing is looking at becoming a nonprofit, because I know I'm so excited about that. We bring resources and information that's transformational for the individual and thus the world, which is exactly what you were talking about today. And the more I've I've done this now for years. I've been online first with Fibro Life, and then of course we did Stay Home, and now I have this, and I've had this Every Life is a Story for a while now, and so I've been doing this a long time. And so if people have brought it up to me before, you should be a nonprofit, you should be a nonprofit. And I, to be honest, didn't really know what that means. So I've been looking into it and feeling my way into it. And I was actually on the phone with my mom 2 mornings ago, and I found myself not saying, I think we're going to become a nonprofit. I was like, when we become a nonprofit, when we become a nonprofit. And I'm like, okay, you have made up your mind. That's the direction you're going. So that's what As Long As You're Breathing is going to do. That's our journey that we're going to take. And it's so we can keep bringing people like you who have so much information that needs out there, and we can do it in a bigger way so we can reach more people. And, because they're like you, they're humble, they're not puffing themselves up when they say, and so I worked with her, and that's not about you. And it's not about you. Just like I know doing this isn't about me. We do it because, well, everything we do makes a difference in the collective or the field. And that's why we do it. That's why we do it. And so somebody hearted us there. I kind of have an idea who that might be. They haven't chimed in, but Annette usually joins us. So I'm wondering if it's Annette. But yes, please put in the comment who you are, and thank you so much for that. But yes, and Elizabeth, you've stuck with me here, ever since I found you and wrote that long email and said, okay, you don't know me, but I was, and you said, yeah, I'll do it. And so we've been doing this now for a while. And so yeah, having you here when I say that means a lot to me.
I'm excited. I'm excited
too. Awesome. I'm very excited. Yeah. Had a meeting last night about it. I've reached out for more information today. I mean, it's a process. It is definitely a process to do. And
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was daunting when it was first brought up to me. I'm like, I don't know about that. It was first brought this time, I was like, oh, I don't know about that. Except I already tried to do so many things. I'm trying to put so many things together. And I'm like, I'm going to layer that on top of it, not just on top of it, but kind of in front of it, because that needs to get in place. But like I said, I was on the phone with my mom, and I'm like, I was talking about it like it's a done deal. And when we do this, and mom's like, well, it sounds to me like your mind is made up. And I'm like, it is. Yeah.
Awesome.
The heart mind was made up. And so the heart mind had engaged, and this mind just had to just be quiet, and all the fears and all the concerns it had. It was like, well, she's not listening. The heart's taken over.
The way you do that process is you do it one line, one step at a time. Oh,
right.
This is the next thing I have to do. Okay, now I do this, It's
exactly. And breathe. And breathe. Just keep breathing.
I sat down to start organizing all my papers for my taxes last night. I was like, oh, and I could have been really overwhelmed because I'm pretty organized, but still it's a task. It's going to take some hours to pull it all together and sort it all out. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this one step at a time, one piece of paper at a time, put it in that pile, this one in that pile. It's like, it's not rocket science. We just have to do it one step at a time.
And that was the thing in we were talking about the breathing. That was the thing when I was that big multitasker. Everything overwhelmed me. I was to the point I would go in my office at like 2 or 3 in the morning when nobody was around, because I would wake up unable to sleep, but my head would be clear, and I'd be like, oh, I can think. So I would literally get ready, get dressed, and I would go into work like 2 or 3 in the morning because I could finally think. And it's because no one was there. There wasn't all the I was being pulled into multitask land, and I would literally do what you're saying. I would pull out, okay, this is the mess I need to deal with. And I would pull that out, and I'd take it one piece at a time. But even though I was doing that, of course I was exhausted because I wasn't sleeping.
Right.
But even though I was doing that, it was still, the pressure was on to be a multitasker, and so because what I did was so, it was here, it was there, it was here, it was there. And so I never, at that point in time, with the knowledge I had, I was the one that recognized that the patients needed to just breathe, but I didn't recognize that that's what I needed to do. And a lot of it, as you say, is because they said just breathe. So yeah, we have so much to share. And as long as you're breathing, that's why it is, as long as you're breathing, keep living. It is about the breath, and it is about living life to the fullest. And we can do that when we're aware of breathing, but so many of the other things that you bring and that other people who are on bring. And so I'm just so excited that to have you all in my life, to have you in my life has been amazing. To bring you to other people is a joy. And so yeah,
I'm thrilled to be a part of this.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yes. And I was right. It's Annette. She said, good guess. So,
Hey, Annette. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
hi, Annette. Thank you for joining us. Do you have any questions, Annette, about the heart mind stuff or the heart coherence, or you just want to give another shout out, or as she may be listening and too far away to type or anything? But all right. So next month, then we're talking about chronic pain in the mind, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we're going to talk about how
to talk to a chronic pain patient.
Right. And that would be excellent for all of that. And that was a nurse. We went to nursing school together.
Awesome.
That many years ago. And then Annette, hi, I joined in late and I need to listen to the whole thing. Okay. Well, all right. Well, thank you, Elizabeth, again. And I look forward to the next 2 months. And for all of you who have been following us all of this month, of course, we've been also talking about Twin Flame Journey a lot because it's all about relationship. And of course, I relate it back to all relationships. And as we said today, all relationships can be improved when we just go to the breath and when we realize that we do need to be living from our heart. And yes, we have 3 brains, not just one, and we need to work them all together. And so Elizabeth's topic was just amazing and perfect for all of this. So in the meantime, I'm going to take y'all out with playing with my new software. So as long as you're breathing, you all keep living in great big capital letters. And this month, loving in great big capital letters too. Talk to y'all later.